No one talks about the moment before someone loses their sanity. People only talk about the aftermath, the breakdown, the screaming, the silence that comes after. But madness doesn't arrive suddenly. It rehearses. It begins quietly, in moments so small you forgive them. A thought that doesn't finish, a memory that feels borrowed, a feeling that your mind hesitated, just long enough for something else to step forward. Right before you lose your sanity, you don't feel crazy. You feel awake. It started with a sensation I couldn't explain. A subtle shift, like the world was slightly misaligned. Conversations sounded normal, but the meaning lagged behind the words. I would hear someone speak and understand the sentence, yet feel detached from its intention, as if my mind was translating reality a fraction too late. I told myself it was stress. Everyone does. Stress is the most polite excuse the brain has. But then the pauses began, moments where my thoughts stopped mid-motion, like a needle skipping on a record. I would stand in my kitchen holding a spoon and forget why. I would walk into a room and feel an overwhelming certainty that I wasn't supposed to be there, like I had interrupted someone else's moment. Sometimes I caught myself staring at nothing, not thinking, not drifting, just empty. And in those empty moments, something felt very close. The nights were worse. Not nightmares, those are too obvious. These were nights where I slept deeply, but woke with the sensation that I had been observed. Like someone had stood beside the bed, memorizing my breathing. I began waking up a few minutes before my alarm every morning. Not abruptly, calmly, as if something inside me had decided it was time. I would lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling my thoughts arrange themselves without my consent. Plans forming that didn't feel like mine. Questions I hadn't asked answering themselves. Once, half asleep, I whispered out loud, "Who's there?" And my own voice answered, very softly, "Not yet." During the day, reality started losing its edges. Sounds felt distant, like they passed through water before reaching me. Faces looked familiar but strangely incomplete, as if I was seeing them through memory instead of sight. I began noticing patterns everywhere, repeating numbers, mirrored movements, people turning their heads at the same time. I became obsessed with the idea that my mind was filtering something out, that there was too much information and my sanity was a narrowing tunnel trying to keep me functional. But sometimes, right before it narrows completely, you glimpse what it's protecting you from. The first real fracture happened in public. I was standing in line at a cafe when everything stopped. Not blacked out, not blurred, just paused. The sound of the espresso machine froze mid-hiss. The person in front of me remained mid-step, heel hovering above the floor. And in that impossible stillness, I felt my thoughts slide backward, like I was being pulled out of my own head. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't afraid. I was being moved aside. Then the world snapped back. The line advanced. Someone bumped into me and apologized. I nodded, heart pounding, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, something had changed. Because for the first time, I knew the truth. My sanity wasn't slipping, it was being relieved of duty. After that, my inner voice stopped sounding like me. It became calmer, more efficient, less emotional. Thoughts arrived fully formed, stripped of doubt or hesitation. I stopped second-guessing myself. I stopped feeling conflicted. That should have scared me. Instead, it felt like relief. Right before someone loses their sanity, clarity arrives. A dangerous clarity. The kind that removes noise, morality, and fear all at once. I began remembering things I didn't know I had forgotten. Childhood moments, old streets, a basement I was never supposed to remember. Memories stacked themselves neatly, like files being reorganized by someone who knew where everything belonged, someone who wasn't me. I tried grounding techniques, breathing exercises, writing thoughts down, but the writing changed. I would start a sentence and find it finished in a way I hadn't intended. My handwriting grew tighter, more controlled. The words sounded confident. One page read, "You're not breaking, you're shedding." Another, "This is the part where resistance feels like pain." I don't remember writing those lines, but they made sense when I read them. That's the most dangerous part. Right before sanity collapses, everything feels logical. People around me noticed something was off. They said I seemed distant, focused, different. I smiled more, spoke less, watched more. I started predicting conversations before they happened, finishing sentences people hadn't completed yet, knowing when someone was about to knock on my door seconds before it happened. It felt like my mind was syncing with a deeper pattern underneath reality, one that sane minds aren't meant to notice. The pattern was elegant, efficient, and it didn't care if I stayed intact. The final warning came quietly. I was brushing my teeth one morning, staring at my reflection when my mind slipped again, just for a second. In that second, the reflection smiled. Not a wide grin, not a threat, a satisfied smile, like someone who had waited patiently and was finally being let in. When I snapped back, my face was neutral again, but my heart was racing, and my reflection felt delayed, like it was following me instead of mirroring me. That's when I understood. Sanity doesn't shatter, it steps aside. Now the moments before the gaps feel warm, comfortable, inviting. The thoughts that arrive without effort feel better than my old ones. Quieter, sharper, certain. I know what's happening. I am standing at the edge of myself, watching something more stable take my place. Right before someone loses their sanity, they stop resisting. They stop asking for help. They stop calling it madness. They call it evolution. If I disappear after this, if my voice changes, if my eyes look clearer than before, know this: I didn't fall apart. I made room. And whatever stepped in was already waiting.